The cross stands at the center of Christian faith. But how can an execution from 2,000 years ago still matter today? What happened there that still changes everything now? Welcome back to 3-Minute Theology. My name is Brenton, and today we're going to be discussing the Atonement, which is Christ's work in his life, death, and resurrection, by which he deals with sin, satisfies divine justice, and reconciles us to God. In the Old Testament, atonement means to cover. And in the New Testament, the same reality is described as redemption, reconciliation, and substitution. Here's why it matters. The atonement answers our deepest problem: sin. Romans says all have sinned and fallen short. It also reveals God's character, his justice, for the wages of sin is death. And it reveals his love. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Further, it anchors our salvation. Hebrews says, without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness for sin. And it fuels our worship. Revelation rejoices, worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Now, Christians have understood the atonement differently throughout time, which has led to many different views of the atonement. The ransom theory states that Christ gave his life as a ransom for many, in a sense buying back captors from bondage. This view is sort of risky, as it does make Satan our creditor until Christ redeems us. The moral influence theory sees Jesus' life as a model for all people to follow. The strength of this view is that it displays God's love, at the risk of downplaying man's guilt and God's wrath. The Christus Victor theory states that he disarmed the rulers and authorities, speaking of cosmic entities. The strength of this view is that Christ's atonement affects more than just human sin, but also rebellious spiritual entities, at the risk of being sort of vague on personal responsibility for our sin. And finally, penal substitution, the theory that Christ bore the penalty our sins deserved in our place, satisfying God's justice and securing our justification. He made him to be sin who knew no sin, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. So which view of the atonement is correct? Well, all of them, insofar as any of them do not exclude or preclude the others. As William Lane Craig says, the doctrine of the atonement has been aptly compared to a multifaceted jewel. Aspects of the doctrine, such as penal substitution or moral influence, should not be thought of as complete standalone atonement theories, but rather as facets of a richer, multifaceted theory. So be assured, you don't bear the guilt. Christ did. Offer worship to him in response. Justice and mercy meet at the cross. And hold on to hope. If God's justice is satisfied, he will never let you go. And how is that justice satisfied? Through the atonement.